drink some coffee. So I was on Instagram and I was scrolling and I saw a video of this older guy with his teenage son, and they were joking about like his son pretty much watching porn. And I looked at the comments to see like how people felt about it. I was like, because this is disturbing to me, and everybody thought it was funny, you know. And it was kind of talked about like this is just a part of him becoming a man. That's what it seemed like, how people interacted with the video itself. And it bothered me so deeply because I was like, this is wicked.
Yeah.
And this is evil to joke about your son ingesting images that he should not be ingesting, that none of us should be ingesting. And so I tweeted and I said, pornography is mentally destructive and completely demonic. And to my surprise, it got 10,000 retweets. And that's not because it's me. That has nothing to do with me. It's obviously a thought
something
that people, that resonated with people. Because when it gets outside of a certain amount of retweets, it ain't even Christians no more. Like, you done ventured into to some people that don't even follow you. So it's just like Christians and non-Christians obviously can relate to the fact that they believe that pornography is just not good.
Yeah, because I think pornography affects so many different people. I think it affects married women. I think that it affects single men. I think that it affects single women. I think that it affects mothers, fathers. Like it affects so many people in so many different ways. I feel like we don't think about. But I want to say something about what you said about the young boy and how people in the comments were talking about like this is him venturing into manhood.
Right.
It's so funny because that's kind of like what I was taught. Yeah. Like, oh, you're learning how.
So somebody introduced porn to you, or you stumbled across it?
Yeah, my cousins, my cousins who basically their father had like a whole bunch of like tapes under his bed, and we didn't even start off watching it. What we would do is when I would go over there, they would steal the tapes because my uncle had so many, and
that's how you know your age because you keep saying tapes.
Yeah, they were cassette tapes.
I know,
and they kept them under this box, but
VCR porn.
But we didn't watch it. It was just on the back of it. It was just images, kind of showing you what you was going to experience in these tapes, and we would just look at them or whatever. But it was no VCR in my cousin's room, and so we would just and so for like I remember like the whole year we was trying to figure out how to get a VCR.
That's crazy.
Just to watch these tapes, you know what I'm saying? Because we were so curious, we were so intrigued by.
And how old were you?
I think I was it had to be like in 4th grade.
Okay.
4th, 5th grade.
When you saw the images, what did it do? Like, did you? Yeah, were you curious? Did you know it was about sex? Like,
I knew it was wrong.
Okay.
I knew it was wrong. One, it's no reason why a grown man has things under his bed stored away like that.
That's
right?
true.
Because he definitely doesn't want people to see it, which I think speaks to a lot. Because if it wasn't wrong, if it was sex displayed in a healthy way, you wouldn't have to hide them.
Right.
And so I knew it was wrong, but I also knew that it was a part of a woman's body that I never see. You know what I'm saying? So it was just like, oh, I've seen females and women my whole life. I never knew what was under there. So I think it immediately intrigues you.
Which, can I interrupt real quick?
Yeah.
Which I was reading this, not reading, I was watching this show by Lisa Lane called Porn Ed, where which was fascinating simply because it's non-Christians talking about the destructive nature of pornography.
Right.
And one of the guys who is like I guess recovering porn addict was saying that what porn did to him is that it trained him to no longer care about the mystery of a woman or her body.
Yes.
Where now I don't need to court you and then marry you to then be able to see you. I have access to all these women that I could just click a button to see. And I think that's low-key what God actually intended, is that for there to be a level of mystery. But
and I think that's one of the main things that pornography does to young men. I think it allows us to see women as bodies and not image bearers.
Gifts.
Yeah.
Because a gift has to be unwrapped.
Yes.
Yeah, you have to receive it, unwrap it to get it.
Absolutely. But and so we come into this situation automatically thinking sex or sexualizing just image bearers.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And it doesn't give you it distorts the natural beautiful creatures that women are. I think in a lot of men's minds, we go into the situation and thinking about what they look like under their clothes instead of who they are, you know, and how God made them. And so, all growing up, I was taught this is just me being a boy.
Right.
This is just me being a man, and it wasn't.
Right.
It was. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know.
I don't know how I was introduced to porn, but I know it was early, and by early I mean probably 7, something like that. Which, when you think about it, Eden is 6 years old. And imagine a year from now her seeing pornography.
That makes my heart just anxious, even.
But that's me. And so it's like you have this baby seeing stuff that they should not see. No wonder my view of sex was so dysfunctional.
Yeah.
And perverted. And by perverted, I mean not ordinary, not according or conforming to the standard to which God has given us in his scriptures. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's why my mind is still continually having to be renewed, because I was introduced to that thing so early, which was an intention of Satan. But I don't know, I'm pretty sure I knew it was wrong, but I just liked it. I don't know. I just liked it. I liked watching it, and I had access to it all the time because we had cable.
Yeah, and it's deep how something that is so unnatural and something that is so wicked can be so appealing.
I think we should define why it's wicked, though, because I think some people can say, why though? Like, why is this evil to be able to watch? Like, sex is something God created. Why is it evil to watch something God created? Somebody could think that. I
think one of the reasons why it's evil is because from a biblical worldview, right? God intended for one man to be with one woman, right? And so when you look at porn, it doesn't give women dignity at all. One.
Or men.
Yeah. Either, right?
You have to denigrate yourself even.
Yeah.
To be able to do that.
But I think it's evil because I think it gives us a distorted view of God's creation.
In what way?
Because we were created for glory. Like in 1 Corinthians, it says that our bodies was made for the Lord, right? And so, which means everything that is a part of our body was made to give God glory, yes. Right? And so the way in which God, when he created Eve and Adam, when Adam first saw Eve in the garden, he saw a good thing. He saw somebody that he can love. He saw another person that he can give his affection. So he saw somebody that was distinctly different, but also similar, her also being made in the image of God. I think what porn doesn't allow people to see other image bearers, like one image bearer that you're supposed to direct all your love, all your affection, all your sexual desires towards. It just says this is a way for me to get my fix. This is a way for me to like release my lust on a person. And when you look at porn, this is the reason why when people watch porn, they go back into their marriages with all of these unhealthy expectations because they no longer see an image bearer. They just sees a body. Yeah. Right? And so you get all these men who watching porn, and they get these porn addictions, and then they go back into their marriage, and their marriage is not satisfying to them anymore because they've flooded their mind with all of these unhealthy porn images.
And I think some of it is ignorance. And by ignorance, I don't mean that in a shady way. I mean ignorance as in, I don't think the church has been honest enough or explicit enough about sex from a biblical vantage point. So you have people who don't even really know what, like, how to think about sex in a healthy way.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because we're taught about sex primarily through the media, through music, through famous people, and then through these different like pornographic things that we become like that we get access to. And so no, like if that's our first teacher, then that's all we know, because the church is like, I don't want to talk about sex. I don't want to talk about sex. It's like, no, I think we should establish a healthy understanding of sex first, so that when the perversion is introduced, we actually see it as not normal.
Yeah.
And so with that, like, it wasn't until I got married that I started to formulate a theology of sex, which is, oh, this thing is the consummation of a union between one man and one woman. It's literally the coming together of bodies, a metaphor for the covenant that one man and one woman enter into under God. It's literally like it's a part of the thing.
And porn literally distorts that.
Oh,
it distorts that. It's crazy. Because
it's the gift without the covenant.
It's crazy because you know when
It's theft.
Back when we were friends.
Theft.
A long time ago, I used to do that thing called War on Lust. And so it was the thing where that I started with like 7, 8 dudes in my apartment with my roommate, and it grew to be like 78 people in my apartment. It was crazy.
Wow, stinky.
Yeah, it was. It used to be stinky because some of them was musty. Help them, Lord. But you know, it was this Facebook thing, and it was crazy because it grew. It started with just single men, and then every week married men started to come. And as me as a young believer who was fighting lust, who was fighting pornography or whatever, I really felt like the Lord led me to do that. And so in my mind, I'm thinking only single men are going to come.
Yeah,
I wasn't married. I didn't really have a lot of context for marriage yet. And so the fact that so many married men started to come shocked me. And the number one thing that married men were taught was, let me marry a woman, and this woman will help fix my lust issue.
Yes.
Let me marry a woman, and this woman will help like tame this beast inside of me. And the thing that we don't talk about in the church enough is that this is a heart issue.
Right.
A woman can't fix a heart issue.
Yeah, she did it,
right? Only Jesus can fix a heart issue.
Hey, I should have been kind.
Come on, girl.
Ooh,
stop.
shut up. I felt it.
And so they come into marriage thinking that this woman is going to be, you know, the end of all be all to their lust, not realizing that your whole life you've been taught to view sex in an unnatural way, and then you think this marriage is going to help you function naturally when it comes to sex, and it's just not. It's just not the case. And so your whole life you've been watching porn. Your whole life you've been conditioned to look at porn in such a degrading, unnatural. You've been conditioned to look at sex in a degrading, unnatural way, and you think marriage is going to fix that, and it doesn't.
Yeah.
And so it broke my heart to see that so many men struggle with pornography and masturbation inside of marriage than they did when they were single.
Why?
Because they get into marriage expecting their wife to be what they saw their whole life.
Oh, to be like a freak. A porn star.
To be like a freak, to be like a porn star, and because the thing,
and to be readily available.
Yes.
All of the time.
And that's one thing I want to say that's very important, because I think even in our situation that I want to talk about, because I had a spell in our marriage where I struggled with porn, which is on our podcast, 30 Minutes to Paris. You can go check it out. But I think a lot of times when men are struggling with porn, it can be heartbreaking to the wife, right? Like you were heartbroken when you found that I was struggling with porn. And I think what it can say to the wife is, my husband is watching porn. He's not satisfied with me. Or it can say, my husband is watching porn. Well, he must view me in the same way he view these women. Right. That he's watching porn. And I think that's not necessarily the case. I think a lot of times, men are afraid of rejection in their marriage, and so when you watch porn, you watch women who are not rejecting men. You are watching women who are easily saying yes. It appeals to your flesh. It appeals to your ego. And a lot of times I think men watch porn to feed this deep insecurity in themselves. It's saying, you know what, let me fantasize watching this man that's not getting rejected. Let me fantasize watching this man who is being accepted sexually by this woman, and this woman really feels like she needs him and she wants him. And so it's this deep insecurity. So it's not just a physical thing. It's a deep emotional need.
My God.
A need to feel wanted and accepted.
My God.
But the thing is, that's not real monogamy.
Who? Monogamous.
I'm sorry. But the thing is, that's not real intimacy. It's not real intimacy at all.
Keep talking.
Because what real intimacy is having to do the work of wanting a woman to want you. Having to do the work of wanting the woman to feel,
or pursuing a woman
in a way that she will want to have sex, right? It is a give and a take. It is not just this woman that's thirsty for your sex.
Which is, and I want to put a pin there because I want you to come back. Which is the gospel, right?
Yes.
Because sex or marriage in Ephesians 5 says this mystery is profound. I am saying that it refers to Christ in the church. So a man and a woman coming together in marriage is to image or mirror to the world Christ's love for his church. The way Christ has loved us is that he pursued us, he died for us, he rose for us, he gives us his spirit, and he does all the work. And once we receive it, we give him love back.
Yes.
And so what you're saying is to model Jesus, even when it comes to sex in our marriages as a man, is to pursue with unconditional love in the same way that Jesus does. And the response naturally for the woman is to give that love back.
Yeah, and it doesn't necessarily mean, because I used to always think like, well, let me love my wife so she's going to have sex with me. But that's also, that can be a form of manipulation as well.
Right.
But that's not what I'm saying. But what I am saying is that a natural response of someone's love is to give something back. Right? In the same way, like you just said, before, while we were yet sinners, Christ died for us. And so Christ died for us before we met any condition.
Right.
And so when we come to Jesus, we see this, we experience this God who loved us unconditionally. And this is what makes us fall more in love with him. It's not us doing things by works or the law. It is us. It's our natural response of loving a God who first loved us. And in the same way, I think a woman is created to mirror that. It's created to mirror the church. In the same way, like a woman, the more you pursue a woman, the more she will want to not just give sex, but just give herself to you. And so I think porn distorts that.
That's good.
Porn skips that whole process.
Woo!
Porn
Skedaddles over it.
And I'm speaking as somebody who struggled with it. Right? Because what happens?
Because porn is easy.
It's easy. It's easy. And so your wife said no 4 times this week. Let me go watch a woman that doesn't say no. Let me go watch a woman that just it seems as if she wants this man. But what she don't. She's trying to get a check.
Yeah, it's imaginary.
Yeah.
And the sex trafficking industry is fueled by the porn industry.
That's a whole nother.
What do you like? Is there a difference? Or is it the same for single men? Because they're not in a marriage where they can be rejected. And so what is the pull towards it when you're single? Is it simply because, man, this is going to hold me over until I get married?
Well, I think
you get what I'm saying?
I think for some, I think for the single man who's in the world and the single man who's a Christian, I think it's different.
That's true.
I think a lot of times it's different. Now you have some single, Christian men who struggle with porn as well. But I think for the young man who truly belongs to the Lord and who is single, I think a lot of times, unfortunately, they're not taught what a real marriage is, and so they fall into the scheme of the devil, I believe, to think that marriage will fix these sexual issues. And so a lot of times I think as for the single Christian man, they will endure not watching porn because they know, like, I can get married soon. Not enduring watching porn because they want to please the Lord.
Wow.
And so that's the biggest mistake we make. It's like, let me hold off because God is gonna bless me with a marriage.
Wow.
It's like, no, let you hold off because you don't want your heart to be corrupted.
Yeah. Ooh.
Because your heart's still gonna be like that in marriage. Yeah. It's like that's the thing people don't understand. I think for the man who's not a Christian, it's different. Yeah. And so I've seen so many men, and I've known so many men who've fallen into that trap. You know, I fell into watching pornography, and I knew this going into pornography, into marriage. I knew this already.
Before we, I think, get into just our experience as a married couple, I think it's important to talk about how, like, women struggle too, because I do think that it's often highlighted in conferences for men and fighting against lust, that like it's like a male problem. And statistically, it is more of a male problem than a female problem, but that doesn't mean that women don't struggle too. But I do think that one of the interesting things is that with women, the pornography can sometimes not be visual but read. It's literature. There's a reason why 50 Shades of Grey was as popular as it was. There's a reason why Zane books were as popular as they are.
Because men are very visual creatures.
Correct.
Women, we
don't have to see.
Yes. That's the reason why a lot of women, no shade, can fantasize about their whole marriage by the time they're 12. Right. It's like, I know who I'm going to marry. I know what our fence is going to look like. We're going to have this color dog. Right. Men, we see a butt and we like, whoa.
Right. Calm down. I was listening to this podcast about the whole 50 Shades of Grey phenomenon in particular when it comes to erotic literature, which is usually purchased and consumed by women and married women as well. And she said, what's her name? Hannah, I don't remember her last name. It was fascinating. She was saying that one of the themes in many of these erotic books is that the woman is with a very highly sexual dominant man. And they said that they think that appeals to women because some women feel this lack of security when it comes to having husbands that are passive. And so what they delight in or want is a man that takes control. It's a perverted version of control, because it's like dominatrix and just some bad stuff. But I can see how, like, with you're saying these men are like attracted to the pornography because there's no rejection there. But with these women, they're attracted to this erotic literature because there's no perceived weakness there.
Wow.
Ain't that deep?
That is deep. That is deep. So I got a couple of questions. And so what for the woman, what do you think, does it add some type of security that they want? The fact that they want a man who takes control. Like, what is it that is appealing in that way? Why does that play into like pornography or?
Honestly, don't know. I know women want to feel secure. That I think that's what a man, like, that's what lacks when a man is passive, is that if they don't take the lead on things, if they don't seem to just be mindful of the needs of the home and the need of the woman, if they're lazy and complacent, don't take initiative, it makes you feel insecure. And not insecure as in I'm ugly, but insecure as lacking stability. And so I suppose that's one thing that they get off in, is like, let me escape into a place where I see a man about his business, even though it's a perversion, because Jesus isn't like that. Yeah. Jesus is not passive, but Jesus also isn't abusive. And so that's what we're actually seeing. And a lot of this literature is abusive men displaying demonic, perverted ways of leadership. So, but I also know of people who it's not that at all. Like, I remember walking with a girl who was single and in high school who struggled with pornography, and she told me she just did it to feel comfortable, to get comfort. Like when she had stress, anxiety, too much going on, she would watch it and masturbate to relax. It was like a cup of coffee, a glass of wine for her. And I think that's similar across the gender spectrum, which is a lot of people just watch it as a way to release.
But it's also deep because I think with that whole domineering piece that you just talked about, I think that also, I'm going to speak for the man because I can relate, right? It tells us like, we have to control. We have to be dominant. We have to rule over.
Oh yeah. The images that pornography, when it comes to the relationship between men and women.
Yeah. 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 It doesn't teach us. It doesn't teach us gentleness. It doesn't teach us.
That's true.
It doesn't teach us how to be soft and how to be intimate, right? It teaches us that no, we have to rule and conquer.
That's crazy.
This woman.
Yeah. It's as if the fruits shown in pornography have nothing to do with the fruit of the spirit.
No.
Because the fruit of the spirit is love,
Patience.
Joy, peace,
yes,
patience,
yeah,
gentleness, self-control, kindness. Ain't none of that there.
None. No gentleness. Yeah, it literally says none of those things, right? It doesn't teach us how to be patient. It doesn't teach us how to be kind. It doesn't teach us how to have self-control. It's just like, let me conquer this other image bearer.
Basically, it does not lead you to being like Jesus.
No, it doesn't.
Even though we've talked about it on 30 Minutes with the Bears, I think it would be valuable to talk about just our experience with pornography in our marriage in particular, because I think it was hard, but I think we both learned a lot about ourselves and each other through it. So
Yeah.
I could probably just talk about how I found out.
Yeah, sure.
You seem reluctant.
No, I'm saying we talked about it on 30 Minutes with Paris.
Yeah, this with the Paris.
Okay.
So it was Eden's third birthday or fourth, her fourth birthday party at our house, and my computer was down, so I needed to use Preston's iPad to send out an email, and so I pulled up his iPad and I typed in www. And then in the search bar, it produces the site that you frequent, I guess, most, because they just assume that's where you want to go to. And it was Pornhub. And I was like, okay, wait. And so I saw that. Meanwhile, the party is still happening. My children is still playing. My mama and stepdaddy is still over the house. There's balloons scattered all over the floor. All of them is crawling on the carpet while I'm looking at this iPad. And so I go to the history and I see just a history of different pornographic like videos. And I could see the kinds of videos that were being watched. And it shocked me. Like, it felt surreal. Because I feel like, I don't know. I think I know you struggle. Because we're very honest in our marriage. And so I think that's why I was shocked. Because it was like, why didn't he tell me? Like,
because in the past, I have told you.
Right.
Concerning pornography.
And so I saw it and I had to act like everything was all good for the rest of the party because I had to wait till the party was over. And the spirit is a faithful friend because it was just very, very hard. But I was hurt, and so then I confronted you.
And so I mean, we talked about this on the podcast and stuff like that. But at that season, I was going through, and this is not me trying to put it on anything because it was still my own sinfulness, and lack of trust in the Lord, but I was going through so much distrust of God's ability to fix our marriage. I felt like the things that I had prayed for was not going to happen. I felt discontent. I felt impatient. And porn at that time began to be a certain type of comfort for me. And it was deep because at this particular time, it was a span of like 3 months where it was like off and on, and I would tell in the beginning, I would tell, you know, brothers in the faith, you know, my struggles and my issues, and then after a while, it's just like, man, this is comforting me. This is getting me through. I'm tired of confessing it or whatever, and I fell deeper and deeper into it, and it was crazy because in the past, I felt like you were my biggest accountability partner. I would come to you and be like, yo, I'm struggling when we want to watch porn.
Right.
You know, things are getting hard. Like, you know, I'm telling you just because if you know or whatever.
Right.
But it got to the point where, like, I didn't want to do that anymore.
Because even in your discontentment and your lack of patience, you were also losing trust for me.
Yeah, losing. but what was crazy was in my losing trust for you, God eventually showed me that no, it was really your lack of trust in me.
Right.
Right.
But I think one of the deep things you told me is that you started to convince yourself that watching pornography would help our marriage.
Yes, and it was crazy because it's such a lie from the enemy, because I think, and this is just not me, but this is men that I've spoken to. It's like, man, I'd rather watch porn than go out there and cheat.
Yeah.
So let me watch porn because it feeds this thing inside of me,
right,
that prevents me from going out there to
when lust is adultery.
Yeah.
In God's eyes.
Yeah, and so it is cheating. And that's what affected me so deeply when you were hurt by it.
Yeah.
Because I thought she was gonna be disappointed. I didn't think that she was gonna be that hurt.
Right.
And so because you felt like I had cheated on you, in my mind,
I felt betrayed.
My own sinful nature and the devil on top of that convinced me that no, this is not me being honest, but it isn't like cheating.
Right.
And so I want to talk about, you know, the dream that I had though.
Oh yeah.
The dream that I had, because we told this whole story on 30 Minutes with the Perrys, our podcast, but I didn't tell the people on 30 Minutes with the Perry about the dream. And so I think the dream is so important because I think God showed and revealed so much to me about my own heart, and I needed that dream to help me and to help sustain me even into now. Not saying I haven't struggled with wanting to watch porn, because that would be a lie, but I haven't fallen into porn like I did back then at all, not even a little bit. And so 3 days after you found out, and we had that whole hard season where I had to call friends, and we had a pastor came over and worked things out with us. I had this dream where I was sitting in, like, it was like a new house. I don't know if it was this house because we didn't live in this house yet. And
prophetic. Get it.
And in the dream, sitting in the living room, and so many people don't believe in dreams, but I feel like the Lord gave me this dream. And so I'm sitting in this living room, and I'm on this rocking chair. I don't know why I was rocking chair in the dream, because we don't have rocking chairs. We have rocking chair in the nursery, but that's about it. Yeah. And I stand up, and as I stand up, I see you, and you have this big old smile on your face, like you're really joyful and happy. And it was this big old light that came from outside into our window that was shining down on us. And when I looked at the light, I saw this tablet that had, you know, I didn't really see the images in the dream, but I knew in the dream that it was porn on this tablet, and it was floating out of our window, in this light floating out of our window, leaving our house or whatever. And I saw you looking, and you looked happy, and in the dream I looked, I was crying, but like tears of joy, like God, like you're delivering me from this. And as the tablet left the window, you began to walk upstairs, and I was alone. And in the dream, I kind of felt like I was alone with the Lord, and the light was still shining. And I sat down back on the rocking chair, and I'm looking out the window, and all of a sudden, everything outside just went dark, and the house went dark, and like real gloomy. And I'm sitting there looking like, what's happening? And outside, it was just like this fog, this mist outside. And all of a sudden, like, I'm looking across the street, this big demon comes from the fog.
He like a pterodactyl.
He looked like it almost looked like a wolf, and his back was bent. His back was bent, and his feet and his hands were like near each other, like crawling near each other. Like his back was like it's broken, but he was walking very stealth like. And he looked across the street, and I'm looking at this demon, and I can't move. It looked huge, and like in the dream, he had to be like 6-7 feet tall, like even with his back broke. And so he came from across the street to our house, and as he came to the house, his back like unhinged and just became straight, and he began to crawl on our house, and like literally crawl on our house. And so I'm freaking out in the dream, and yeah, what I remember distinctly in the dream is that his index finger raised up, and on his nail was really long, and he was using his nail to try to figure out how to get in our house,
like a talon.
Yeah, how to try to get in our house. And he was real stealth like, and he was like trying to open the window and trying to open the door, and he was real careful, and it's like he was studying.
My God.
And it was crazy that I was looking at it, and I began to freak out. I began to like hit the window, tell him to get away, get away, and to the point where like I started to yell, and it literally looked like it didn't see me. It literally looked like he didn't hear me. And I heard in the dream, I heard the voice of the Lord say, "That is not how you fight the devil."
My God, how do we fight him?
I heard the voice of the Lord say, "You fight the devil by doing what you were doing, by sitting down, resting in me."
My God.
And in the dream, I sat down in the chair, and I began to like sit and trust the Lord. And all of a sudden, it started to get light, and then I woke up.
Wow.
And it's crazy.
I'm acting like I ain't heard this story. My God.
It's crazy because I think what that dream showed me was, one, I was still processing. I think when you found out that I had been struggling with porn, and I was so afraid to tell you because it wasn't a time in our marriage where I had got that deep.
Right.
And so because I got so deep, I was afraid to tell you or whatever, because throughout the past, I had struggled with like spells.
Right.
And I would tell you were my accountability partner, because we do have a very honest marriage. Right. So like, but this time it was different. This time I had kind of became a slave to it.
For sure.
And so I was afraid of you knowing. And so when you found out, I was still, I was sad. I was broken. I was still kind of, trying to figure out like how to make you happy. I was still trying to figure out like just processing the fact that I hurt my wife, the woman that I love. And the Lord began to like minister to me directly after day 3 of that. Like, okay, you hurt Jackie, but let me show you how you have strayed away from me.
Yeah.
And so it began to be like a self-reflection for myself.
Right.
And I think what that dream showed me was, God showed me that the reason why I fell into porn is because due to my own, due to our situation and our own struggles, I began to trust in my own ability. I began to trust in my own strength. I began to trust in my own, I began to trust in my own abilities to fix our issues. And when our issues were not fixed, you
were bitter, exhausted, tired, frustrated.
I was bitter, exhausted, tired, and so I ran to this cheap substitute. Yeah. I ran to this cheap substitute, this cheap comfort, to help sustain me, and instead of running to the Lord.
That's good.
And so I think that's what happens. I think in marriages is that we think that this cheap substitute will sustain us, but it really damages.
And singleness too, yeah.
And singleness too, you know what I'm saying? But like, it damages us deeply. And God had to show me like, no, like, the more you run to me, the more you are in me. That's how you fight the devil.
Yeah, I think, which is such a counterintuitive way to approach fighting sin, and I think a better way to encourage people how to fight, because I feel like there are times when the message of stop is sufficient, but I think a fuller, more I don't know, helpful way to motivate someone to stop is to not just say stop, but to say look at Jesus. And this is why I say that. I've been studying when Jesus was talked to the people, and after he had fed them bread, and he told them that he is the true food, that he is the bread of life, that whoever comes to him will not be thirsty, whoever or hungry, whoever believes in him will not thirst. And it was interesting to me because Jesus was basically comparing himself to food. And food is like a bodily satisfaction. You know what I'm saying? Like when you eat bread, you was full. I'm on Whole30 and I'm hungry because I can't eat bread. Like I feel very empty. I feel
fiending for bread.
I just want a carbohydrate. You know what I'm saying? So like when you eat bread, what happens is when it gets inside of your body, you don't need anything else. And so I think what Jesus is implying is when you come to me, when you trust in me, I will fill you up to the point that you don't need other substitutes. You don't need other things to get full off of. Your hunger is abated. Your thirst is quenched.
Teach us.
So
You better teach us about bread and what it does in the belly.
one of the ways to fight porn, or the practical way to fight porn, is by looking to Jesus, is to say, only you can be to me what I need.
Absolutely.
So if I need comfort, you have it. If I need security, you have it. If I need peace, you told me in John, before the high priest appeared, like, my peace I give to you, my peace I leave with you. And it's not the peace that the world gives, because the world got all kinds of fake peace, all counterfeit peace. Pornography is a counterfeit peace, but God says, like, my peace I give to you. So I'm saying, like, that's just a more fruitful, satisfying, and eternal way to fight against sin, is to really trust Jesus to be all that he promised that he can be for us. Instead of the world.
That's really good, because at that season when I was struggling, it was a deep dissatisfaction in my heart. Yeah. It was a deep dissatisfaction. And it got to the point where I was like, God, I'm tired of trusting. I'm tired of waiting. And I think a lot of times we say these things unknowingly. We say these things in our heart. And we don't even realize that we've communicated these things. We're just like, no, like I'm tired of looking to you for something that I don't believe is gonna happen. And so let me do this it is a like you said, a cheap substitute. It is like a cheap piece, a counterfeit piece. It's like at this moment I feel satisfied, but afterwards I feel crappy. It leaves. It's not everlasting. It's not consistent. It's not, and so
because it's not the bread of life.
No, it's
like gluten-free bread. You ever had gluten-free bread? It don't stay in your stomach,
but let me say this,
because it ain't real.
Let me say this, babe. I think that,
it's vegan cheese.
I always talk to people when it comes to my issue about my own sinfulness, because I think it's
almond milk.
Be quiet. I think it's very important for us to be aware of our own sinful nature, our own sinful heart. But I do think that we really have to realize that we serve a real enemy.
Yes.
Not serve a real enemy.
Yes.
I'm sorry, but we have a real enemy.
The devil.
Which is the devil. And I think what the devil does is not only does the devil tell you, oh, watch this will bring you peace. Yeah. But the devil does not let you know, like, that if you run to the Lord, not only will he give you more peace, but he will teach you how to make this thing that you don't have peace with work. Right. That's one thing that I didn't see. Right. I like my impatience with my own sinful nature, with my own me being mad at the Lord that he's not fixing our issues right then and there, made me run to this cheap substitute. And I ignored. I think we talked about, like, afterwards or whatever, and you had told me how all the ways in which you got better when we first got married. And it was deep, because when you told me that, it's like, I didn't even realize.
You didn't notice it.
I didn't realize the progression that you had made as a wife. Right. All I cared about was what I wasn't getting at the moment. Right. not really realizing, no, it has gotten better, and God has sanctified you, and He will continue to sanctify you. And so I think what sin and what the devil does, the devil makes you impatient with that process.
Yes.
And it makes things worse.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It makes things worse.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so, like, the devil doesn't want you to see that. The devil doesn't want you to see the sanctification process that is happening and that has been happening. You know what I mean? Which is so evil. You know what I'm saying?
And I say this a lot because I think it's helpful. I think the way we understand spiritual warfare needs to be developed, because I think sometimes people are like, well, you just got to rebuke the enemy. You got to just tell the devil to get out your house. You just got to anoint the doorpost. It's like, sure.
There are very practical ways to fight the devil as well, though.
Yeah, it's like, I don't really see in scripture people putting oil on stuff that keeps demons out, you know?
Yeah.
What I do see is that in Ephesians, when God talks about putting on the armor of the Spirit, the weapon against the enemy is faith. He says, the shield of faith, or put on the shield of faith that will extinguish the flaming darts of the evil one.
Come on now.
It's my faith that protects all that he's throwing at me. And our faith in what? God.
And that's the deep thing. Not to keep going back to this dream. That dream was just very eye opening to me. Like, the Lord gave me a dream for a reason. I know that for a fact. But in the dream, it's just me sitting down on the rocking chair. I think it symbolized faith. It said
that's trust.
It said you're looking at this thing that's before you, and you're so worried that you have completely forgot about the God that you're supposed to be resting in, and so you're standing up trying to fight when you should be sitting down, resting in the one who won the fight.
Because faith is fighting.
Yes.
Rest is fighting.
Yes, rest is fighting for the Christian.
Because, and I say that because when you think about like what not like when you're not trusting in God, when you're not resting in God, one of the fruits of it is anxiety, discontentment, frustration, like all of that,
and tiredness.
Like it is exhausting. None of that are fruits of peace.
Yeah. But
when you rest, when you know that God got it, that He rose from the grave, that you died with Him and were raised with Him, that nothing is impossible for God, that He is able to do exceedingly and abundantly above all we can ever ask or think, that the Spirit that is in you is greater than he that is in the world. Like, when you believe the things that God has said in His Word, it settles you. Well, I guess I feel like we have, I think if there's an ending encouragement I would have, it's to really believe the fact that you can have power over pornography. And it isn't your power. It's a power that God has given you through the Spirit of God. There is no way in heaven or in earth that sin is stronger than the Spirit.
No, that's not.
Like, it's not. And so the fact that the grave is empty means that all those who trust in Jesus have the same power that rose Christ from the dead. That kind of power is unstoppable. We just have to believe God enough to walk in it, you know? And so I guess I just want to come against any, like, because the devil will have you out here like, it's too strong, you too deep, you've been doing it too much, it's like, you need it. Bump all that. Jesus has filled us with, like, He has given us an advocate. He has given us a helper. He has given us a comforter who through Him we bear fruit. And one of the fruits of the Spirit is what? Self-control. But not only that, joy.
Yeah. I guess the thing that I was saying,
my God.
I guess the thing that I would say to leave people with is, because I think a lot of times when we watch porn, people remind us that it's sinful, that it's nasty, degrading, and all of these things, that we shouldn't do it and tell us to don't do it. And so believe that God, one will deliver you from this, and, you know, don't give you a hunger and thirst for it anymore. But to truly believe that God will make whatever it is better that's driving you to porn in the first place, because it's not just our lust. It's not, because it is lust, and it is, you know, our twisted view of sex, right? That drives us and makes us desire this thing. But a lot of times, you know, people are discontented in marriages, and a lot of times people feel rejected in their marriages, or like you said, women have like this wrong view of dominance and looking for security or whatever. And so these discontentments that's in our life, know that like with the help of the Spirit, God is also concerned about that too. Like he wants to bring us true peace, and in him giving us true peace in him, like if we believe him, he'll start to fix all of these things in our life that's not bringing us peace, that drives us to this false sense of peace. And so that's one of the things that God had to show me. It's like, no, I don't not just want to take this thing away from you, but I want to fix this thing that's making you run to porn in the first place.
And he is fixing it often.
That's one thing that I had to really believe in my marriage. It was just like, after God allowed you to find out that I was watching porn, which I prayed.
You prayed for?
I prayed. I asked the Lord, which I said on the podcast, I prayed, God, take this thing away from me. And I felt so deep, I didn't know how to tell you. Mm-hmm. And the way he took it away from me was you finding out.
Right.
And so when you found out, I was like, yo, like, okay, God, this is your way of taking it away from me. But then God used that dream, and God used people to show me, no, I don't just want to take this away from you, but I want to take this thing, I want to heal these things in your marriage that's making you run to it. Mm-hmm. And I also want to heal your heart, you know, and I can't do that if you don't come to me, if you don't rest in me. And so be encouraged, you know. Yeah.
Amen. Now to him who is able to keep us from falling and to present us faultless and blameless before his glorious presence, to the only God, our Savior, through Jesus Christ our Lord, be glory, dominion, and power forever and ever.
Amen.
Amen.
Say amen or amen.
Depends on how you feel it. Give us wisdom, real, like, applicable wisdom. I pray that you would even direct our hearts to communicate certain scriptures or passages that we don't even think about right now, that help us to point people to you. I pray that when people watch it, God, that their hearts would be changed, that their minds would be renewed, that those who are slaves to pornography because of comfort, that they would go to you for comfort. I pray that those who are slaves to pornography for any other, just for any reason, God, that they would find solace and pleasure and satisfaction of the body in you and you alone. I pray that you would open up their minds and help them to be able to see the destruction that pornography is. And so just help us to be godly in Jesus' name. Amen. I don't know, because I got this feeling. I'm not even saying that this video will be popular. I think it will be popular, but it's like this burden, like it's needed. I can't explain it. Yeah. Because
your dreads.
You feel like something shut up in your bones.
I do, because I could say it on the tape. Why? Is it recording already?